And what a great day to sew something wonderful. I'm Kia with Kia Bee, and today we're going to be working on a really easy quilt pattern, and it just takes very few materials, and so I'm excited to make these with y'all. You're just going to want to make one for every single lady in your life that you know. And come in a little closer, let's take a look at the materials that we're going to need and what our project is today. Hello, and what a great day to sew something wonderful. I am Kia with Kia Bee, and I am so excited to be back here with you today. We are playing a little bit of catch up today. As some of you may know if you've watched our last video, our youngest son was in the hospital for a short time having his brain surgery, and so we missed out on our July block of the month. So I want to catch up today and do that. If you're just joining us for block of the month, don't worry, you have plenty of time to catch up. We've only done 1 month, and so look back through our videos and you can look at June's block of the month and catch up really, really quickly. Now, something that I was able to do for you all in July, I wrote out all of the fabric requirements for this block of the month. We're calling it Vintage Block of the Month, and that is on our website at kiabee.com. Pop on over there, take a look at the fabric requirements that you're going to need for this quilt top. It should be super fun. I'm very excited to see it all come together. So without further ado, why don't y'all come in a little closer and we'll talk about this month's pattern. In this block of the month, we are calling it a vintage block of the month, and I had told you all previously in our June block that we did not have any information on this block of the month sew along. We just had handwritten patterns and we didn't really have any information on it. Well, as I was looking up fabric requirements, we actually, in the very last month, there was a thank you note from the creator. And so that was really exciting to read. It actually is not very vintage at all. This block of the month was hosted by a local quilt shop here where we live in 1991. So it's actually not really vintage at all, but it's really interesting to see the handwritten patterns. Some of them, as we get later on in the months, they are typed, but it's really fun to see these handwritten patterns. So materials that you are going to need today is your fabric requirements, and like I said, you can head over to our website at kiabee.com and you can pull those off. And we're going to be making this Stars and Stripes block because if you remember, we're doing July, and so that was very appropriate for that month. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, you should have 3 fabrics: a dark fabric like a blue, a red fabric, and then a background fabric, which as I was looking through all of the months, they don't always use the exact same fabric as background. It's just something in the tan color. And so it might look a little bit different. This month happens to have tiny little red stars in the tan fabric with tiny little blue lines, which is perfect. So you'll need your red fabric, your red fabric, your blue fabric, and your tan for your background. And then you'll just need a standard rotary cutter. I've got a small, very small little ruler here, a cutting mat, an ironing board, and let me show you something I've been working with for about the last month. This is a wool mat that we received in one of our subscription boxes, and I had seen some buzz in the quilting blog world that talked about these wool mats and how amazing they were, and y'all, they are so awesome. This is definitely at the very top of my want in quilting supplies. I really, really would love to have a big wool mat. The difference that it makes when you're pressing your fabrics is huge. It really is awesome. So if you've tried one, comment down below and let me know what you think about yours, if there's a certain brand that you like, or if you haven't tried one yet, what kind of size do you think that you would like to have? So let's get started. I'm just kind of gonna talk while I cut here. So our first instruction is to take our blue fabric, and mine's just very little with these little cute quilted stars on it. And you're gonna cut 4 2 7/8 inch squares from this blue fabric, and we're gonna cut them all on the diagonal. So I have already cut my fabric to the squares. I just need to cut everything diagonally. that's why it's nice just to have a small ruler kind of hanging around, because you know, you don't want your big 24-inch ruler clunking around when you've got these little squares. So I will just get this cut up here, cutting them all on the diagonal for all 4. Now if you have an Olfa Endurance blade, which I highly recommend, you can do all 4 layers of fabric just fine. Sometimes with my brand new rotary cutters, my 45mm, I can still do 4 things of fabric and it's no problem. Alright, so I've got all of these triangles made. Okay. The next is number 2. We're going to cut the same 4 squares out of our tan fabric 2 7/8 inches. And so we are going to do that here. I was really excited the turnout that we had for our June sew along. It really seemed like a lot of you were interested and wanted to grab your fabric all at one time, which is really exciting to me. This is just something, if you didn't watch that video, this is just something that my mom found at an estate sale, and so I just thought this would be really fun to do together. So, okay, so we've got our triangles made from that. Now I'm just looking at my instructions here. We need to cut 10 2.5-inch squares from the background. And so I've already got those from our background fabric. So I've got 10 2.5-inch squares. All right, so now we're going to start constructing a couple of blocks. We're going to do 2 6-inch star blocks. And then, let's see. Yeah, why don't you guys kind of come in even a little bit closer. Let's do top down so that you can take a look at exactly how I'm piecing these together. Now that we've got all of our triangles cut, we're just going to make half square triangles. So here's a couple of tips I have, because we are sewing on the bias here. You want to make sure not to pull or stretch. And I have a video about this, but a couple things you want to do. Don't really manipulate the fabric. Only put together the fabric and put it down as quickly as you can, and then really only touch it to take it over to your sewing machine. The other thing is stitch with a very small stitch length and stitch very slowly. Stitching slowly will really help to not manipulate or stretch or pull that fabric. So with your triangles, you are going to make 8 triangle units, half square triangles, and those are going to equal about 2.5-inch squares when you've opened them up and pressed them. And then after that, we are going to create a 6-inch star block. Okay, now that we have our star block made, we're just gonna set that to the side. And we're gonna pick up our red and our blue strips now. These are all 1.5 inch. And what we're gonna do with these is sew a couple of different sets together. So our first strip set is going to be a blue first, then a red, and then another blue. So we are going to sew those right up and down. And then we're going to cut 8 1.5 inch pieces from this strip set. Okay, so I'm just going to set that by my sewing machine. The next one we're going to do is the exact opposite. Okay, so we're going to do a red and then a blue and then another red. We're going to cut 4 1.5 inch pieces from this. And that's going to make the 4 corners of our pattern. So you'll kind of see here we've got this corner 9 patch. So those will make those 4 corners that we're going to do. And I'll kind of show you that on how we put those 1.5 inch strip sets together. Okay, so let me put this by our sewing machine. The last strips that we're going to need is the same as the last one. So we're going to do a red, a blue, and then a red again, and we are going to be making, let me look at this, 4 6.5 inch side pieces. And so earlier the pattern said 6 inch stars. These are actually measuring about 6.5 inches, and that's what we need, and that way we don't lose our points of our star here. And so these strip sets, the red, the blue, and the red, that's going to go for our 6.5 inch side pieces, and then we'll get to the actual assembly of the quilt itself. And so I'll just set these to the side. And you can just zip on down and sew those strip sets and press them, and those are going to come together super, super quick. So I'm not going to go through the sewing process of that because I think y'all can do just a straight line stitch. Again, you should need 8 of these 1.5 inch pieces that are blue, red, blue. And then you need 4 of the red, blue, red. And these are 1.5 by the width of your strip set, which should be around 3.5. Those are 1.5 inch strips. So you just subcut all of your strip sets down to these little 1.5 inch pieces. You need 8 of the blue, red, blue, and then 4 of the red, blue, red. And what we're going to do is we are going to take 3 of those, and you're going to make 4 corner units. So 4 small 9 patches. I've got a little fuzz on mine. And what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 of these and you're going to sew these together just like that. And that's going to make 1 corner of our pattern. Okay, then with the other strip sets that are red, blue, and red, you are going to cut them in 6.5 inch strip sets. And what I had to do with mine is I need 4 of them, and so I had to kind of piece some scraps left over from a different strip set that weren't quite long enough, and so that's what I did with mine. Just so you know, so you might have to do that, but it's fine. They still are 6.5, and that is the exact length of our star unit for our centerpiece. So you'll need 4 of the 6.5, and then you need 4 of these corner units. So I'm gonna finish sewing this one up, and then we'll put together our entire block. I'll lay it out for you here before I get it sewn together. First, we are going to need our star unit. So this should measure about 6.5 inches. If it doesn't, just grab a 6.5 inch ruler, and you're going to want to trim that down. And then you'll just need your side units here. We have 4 of them. That's going to go here on on each side. Just want to make sure you can still see that. Okay, and then these little corner pieces are just going to fill out your negative space corners here. And there we go. And here is our last one. So this makes such a cute block. I love looking at it from a further distance. I think it's beautiful. And so this is our stars and stripe block. You're gonna sew this together just like a 9 patch. So I'll sew these all here and then continue them from here, and then I'll have a whole quilt block done. I think it's so great. I think it's super exciting. So let me get this all sewn together and then I will show you our finished block. Our block turned out so well. I love this stars and stripes pattern. I think it would be really, really fun in a very vibrant red, a deep blue, and a bright white as the background. And I think that would make some adorable placemats on the table and put a couple right in a row and make a fun little table runner for the 4th of July. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this month of July vintage block of the month. Like I said, head on over to our website at kiabee.com. You can see all the fabric requirements for this block of the month, so long that we started in June. Let me know later, let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or if there's anything that I can help clarify as you are sewing along your July block. So thank you again for joining us in the Hive today and for sewing with us, and y'all have a great day.